hello from a very windswept me. My hair's all over the place. If you would have seen from my previous clip that I did my morning walk down on the beach this morning, and I'm a bit windswept now and a bit looking worse for wear, but it was a lovely walk and I came back and had my cinnamon caramelised apples on top of my oats, which is a very heartwarming breakfast for this time of year. But I'm starting a new video and it's going to be a new reading vlog, and this one is going to be about the shortlist of the Goodreads Choice Awards. So for this video, I'm reading two books. I'm reading The Woman by Kristen Hanna, which I'm going to be starting first, and then I'm going to be reading How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin, which I don't have at the moment. It's on its way and it should be arriving tomorrow. So those are the two books that I'm going to be reading this week for this video, and then I'm going to be voting in the shortlist category. That's the plan. That is the plan. So let's get started on this. This is, going to be the usual Kristen Hanna book, isn't it? I know that I'm going to cry. It's a historical fiction, and I always cry at Kristen Hanna's books. Her writing is beautiful. So I don't know too much about this one. I know there's a nursing student. I don't know. I think I'm going to go in blind. So what I'm going to do is just make a start on it. I need to start work in a minute. But then I'm going to do the first few bits that I need to do for work, and then I'm going to make a start on this, and I will update you when I'm part of the way through. So it's about 450 pages, but the writing there's not a lot of words on each page. So I'm hopeful that this is going to be quite a quick read. Possibly, not possible. Oh, I'll get my words right in the end. So let's get started on this. Okay, I look a mess. I've been sobbing. Absolutely sobbing. Okay, I've got my hoodie on. I know I look a state, but I have to come on here and say about this book. My gosh, Kristen Hanna knows how to write, okay? I'm on page 125. It's at 2:30, so I've still got plenty of time reading today, so I'm probably going to read half of this today. So even though it's quite a thick book, it's the sort of book which you just fly through. I'm absolutely loving this book. Absolutely loving this book. I cannot begin to describe how amazing this author's writing is. Every single book that I have read by Kristen Hanna, I have absolutely loved. And it's been a 5-star read. I feel like I need to go back through and read all of the books written by this author. So I've read The Nightingale, and it obviously was 5 stars. Obviously The Four Winds is a massive well-known book from this author. If you look here, there's a list. I feel like I need to read all of the books that this author has ever written, because this, I cannot even begin to describe how amazing it is. So we're following Frankie, and she has these wealthy parents, and she has this brother. Was it Freddie? I'm pretty sure it's Freddie. Then I think Frankie and Freddie seems a bit bizarre, does it not? Finley. Okay, still both F's. Okay, so her brother Finley goes off to Vietnam, and in her family the men always go off to fight, and it's like this massive thing, and her father sees it as this huge thing. The men go to fight and he's very proud of the brother and all of this lot. And she's having a conversation with someone, and they basically said, well, women can be heroes as well. So she gets it into her head that she wants to be a hero, and she wants to go to Vietnam, and she wants to be a nurse on the front line. And that's what she does. And she heads out to Vietnam, and it's just heart-wrenching. It's absolutely gutting. And there's so many points in this book that I have cried already. Like literally in the first 20 pages I was crying. Honestly, it really gets to you, and there's just been a moment in the book which is like this massive thing, which I'm not going to say because I kind of feel like it's going to spoil stuff, so I'm not going to say what it is. But honestly, I have cried so much because of this. I was literally sobbing trying to read the last 10-20 pages whilst the scene was going on and playing out, because honestly it's heart-wrenching. It's so heart-wrenching. My hair looks like an absolute mess. I mean, I look a mess. I've been sat here sobbing. I've got my hoodie on. I just look absolutely horrendous, but it's fine. So I just wanted to come on here to give a little bit of an update, because I have gone past the 100 page mark, but also just because I feel like I have to just point out how amazing this writing is, and how amazing this book is, and how much I'm loving it, and how I'm just amazed by this author. That is the best way of putting it, amazed by this author. Obviously, I'm going to be voting for this in the shortlist for historical fiction. I think this deserves to win without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, I don't even care about the other books in that category. I don't even know what they are. I just know that this book is just perfect, and I absolutely love this book, and I just love this author. I love this author's work. I just love the writing. I love these characters. Like, oh, there's just so much about this that I'm absolutely loving. So yeah, I'm going to continue on with this until I finish work, because I just can't stop reading it. I just think it's absolutely superb. So that's my little update for now. Hello. So a couple of things. I've just got out of the shower and after washing my hair. I had like an everything shower, because this evening we're going to do like a self-care cozy evening at home. So I thought I'd bring you along with it, because this is a very rare thing for me. So Paul is actually out, which is a rarity in itself. It's very rare for him to be out and me not. So I've had a shower, I've put on my comfiest pajamas, I'm just going to dry my hair, and then I'm going to order some food, which is going to be this chicken and white wine sauce pasta tagliatelle from this Italian nearby, which I order probably like once a year. But it's a treat, isn't it? So it's very rare I get to do a self-care evening. So we're going to order that. And then whilst that is on its way, I'm going to light the log burner. And then after I've eaten dinner, I'm going to do a face mask, and I'm going to finish my current read, which, as you know, is The Woman by Kristen Hanna. And I have about 50 or 60 pages left of the book. So I'm going to finish that this evening. That's my aim. I started it yesterday morning. Oh my gosh, I have cried so much over the last 2 days reading this book. It's stunning. I'm going to give my full thoughts on it once I finished it later. I'm thinking I'm going to be finishing it today. We shall see. Well, I hope so anyway. Basically, I just can't stop reading it. It's stunning. It's stunning. It's heart-wrenching. But I'll give all my full thoughts on it later. But I thought I would just check in and confirm that we are going to be doing a cozy self-care evening in. So let's get going. okay, I know I look an absolute mess. I have spent definitely the last hour, but I think pretty much over the last 2 days, I have sobbed so much and cried so much. But I have now just finished The Woman by Kristen Hannah. And this book, I can't even describe or put into words properly and do this book justice with whatever comes out of my mouth in the next, in this update. I don't know how this author does it, but gosh, it hits you hard, and it's heartbreaking. And there's just so much about this book. Like, it's definitely 5 stars. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 reads of the year. Yeah, my eyes are like really stinging right now. So as you know, I did mention a bit about what this is about. Yeah, obviously Frankie goes off to Vietnam and she's a nurse there, and her parents kind of hate this decision that she has made. And obviously we see the aftermath of when she comes back, and we see her go through the PTSD. We see her having to deal with grief and loss and just so much she has to deal with. And she realizes that she's mentally not okay. And so she goes to it's like a psychiatric hospital for like veterans, that you could basically go and get help mentally. And when she goes there, they basically brush her off and say, women weren't in Vietnam. And apparently this is something that a lot of women that were there experienced when they came back. They got told so many times that women just weren't in Vietnam. And this story is harrowing because it's kind of giving a voice to these women. So many of these women went out there and just didn't get any recognition at all for being there or for what they did for the country. And it's sickening to think, because they were so badly treated compared to the men, and they were never seen as heroes, only the men were. And it's heartbreaking. I know that we're in 2024, and yes, we've come a long way since the 50s and 60s and 70s, but we still haven't come far enough. Like, we're still not equal in a sense, are we? It's obviously not as bad as the 50s, 60s, 70s, but we are still seeing it nowadays. But when you're looking at how bad it was a shock in a way. It's, the women were just seen as getting married, having children, and being the homemaker, staying at home and looking after the house. And it was frowned upon for them to go and be heroes and join up for the war and go and do like a tour. I mean, with Frankie in this book, she does 2 years, and I don't know, I think it's just got a very important message, this book. It really does, and it gets you thinking. It really, really does. I definitely want to be reading more about the women who were involved in the Vietnam War and who were out there, and they never had their voices heard. And this story is basically the author trying to make sure that these women get heard. And it hits. Oh, it hits hard. It really does. There's so much in this book that just makes you stop. The amount of things that happens to Frankie in her life, and yet she's still fighting. She's still getting herself to be strong and The character is amazing. I don't think I will ever forget this character in this book. And also, as you're reading this, it kind of like made me think about my own life and made me realise just how lucky I am. Like, I've never had to deal with anything that Frankie goes through in this story. I've never had to deal like with massive loss or ever had to deal with something as traumatic as obviously what Frankie witnessed whilst being this nurse over in Vietnam. And you kind of put your own life into perspective, and you kind of look at it a bit more, and you kind of realise that, you know, I'm extremely lucky. And I don't think I ever think about it a lot, because I kind of feel like you take things for granted. It's just, you've never had to deal with this hurt and heartbreak and things like that. And I think I've just ended up taking it for granted in life quite a lot. So yeah, it's really hard to talk about this book. I don't want to give too much away, but all you really need to know is that you're going to cry when you read this book. You're going to see this very, very strong character just battle everything that gets thrown her way, like all this absolute crap that gets thrown her way in life, and you see her battling it, and you see, you know, her come out the other end, and you've just got to applaud her, and you've just got to think like, wow, after everything she's been through, and she's still here fighting, and she's still trying to get people to know that there were women in Vietnam. Oh, it's everything about this book is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I have no negatives whatsoever, which is extremely rare for me. I always end up finding something in a book, just like, oh, it was amazing. But there's no but with this book. If you haven't read this book, I urge you to read it. I think anyone, like, doesn't matter what genre you enjoy, I think you could get something from reading this book. It's, oh, I kind of feel like I'm now going to just take a break from reading. I feel like I want to do a face mask. I might just catch up on like a YouTube video, something completely different. Try and, you know, I don't want to get into a slump, reading slump because of that book, which can happen when you've got a book that you just cannot stop thinking about. I kind of just need to sort myself out a bit. Now, I didn't even film a clip of my dinner because I went to order from this place, which I never order from. Probably like once a year I get to order from. And they do the most amazing chicken and white wine sauce tagliatelle. It's Italian. And I went to order and they are shut for renovations. So I ended up ordering a Burger King, which actually turned out to be quite nice. Now, I haven't had Burger King in, oh gosh, I don't even know when the last time I've had Burger King was. I genuinely don't know. But it was the cheapest delivery price, so I thought I'd go for that. And it actually turned out to be really nice. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. So it's all good. It's fine. I mean, I did get my Italian, but you know, it's fine. So I'm going to do, you know, a bit of a calming down situation, but I do have the next book that I'm going to be reading in this vlog. It's arrived. So I'm just going to open it now. I had to order this from Amazon just to make sure that it arrived fine. well, quick enough basically, because they could do next day delivery. So I'm going to be reading How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. Now, what is really weird, so this is Kristen with an E, and I've just read Kristen with an I, and I've just noticed that the main character in this book is also called Frances, the same as in this book. Well, Frances, but known as Frankie, but her parents are still called her Frances throughout the book. So that's going to be bizarre. That is the exact same name. How bizarre. Don't know too much about this, but I've heard so many good things about it. Let's just have a look at the back. So it says, in 1965, a fortune teller told Frances Adams that one day she'd be murdered. Frances spent 60 years compiling dirt on every person she met, just in case they might turn out to be her killer. But none of her friends or family took her seriously until she was dead. When her great niece Annie arrives in Castle Knoll, she finds herself a participant in a dangerous game. Frances' will stipulates that the person who finds the killer will inherit her millions, and in the heart of her sprawling country estate lies an eccentric library of detective work where the right person could step in and use the findings to solve her murder. So apparently it's like a really clever plot, and it's absolutely terrific. And I've heard really good things about this. And also that it's quite funny as well. So I think this is probably going to be a bit more lighthearted than what I've just read. I know that there's a murder, but it's, it's meant to be a bit more funny in this book. So I think that it's going to be a lot more lighthearted and a lot better for me to read. So yeah, I'm going to be reading this next. What I think I'm going to do is obviously just do a face mask and catch up on a YouTube video from someone that I follow, just to calm a little bit, do a bit of skincare, sort me like all this puffiness out, stop myself from crying, and then I'll see what time it is, and then we'll probably just make a start on this evening. We shall see, because yeah, I'm not really sure what time Paul's going to be back. I have no idea, but we may be able to get this started this evening. If not, then definitely tomorrow. I'm going to be reading this tomorrow and Friday. But yeah, the plan is to get this read next. But that's my little update for you. So this is my face mask. What do you want to call it? I've got loads of face masks. These like packs I still haven't even opened. I have so many. I have opened these ones. So many. So what I'm going to do is find one that is going to soothe my face. And it needs to be more of a sheet mask. I prefer sheet masks. So I'm going to find one from this absolute mess of a, oh, it's a foot pack one. I'm not going to do that today. But yeah, let's find a face mask. Okay, so the one I went for is this Moisture Bomb by Garnier Skin Active. It's a tissue mask, and it's super hydrating plus anti-fatigue, which I'm thinking it's also got like lavender in it, so I'm kind of thinking it might help stop this swelling from where I've cried so much today. That's what I'm thinking. We shall see. I'm going to spend like 15 minutes. It's in my hair. Standard, I've just noticed. I'm going to spend 15 minutes just catching up on a YouTube video and letting this soak in. And I'm going to make like a nice cozy tea, which I have like a bunch of teas with like a relaxed tea with like chamomile in it and things like that. So I'm probably going to make one of those and then get cozy. I mean, I've been cozy all evening, but you know, get cozy again. And then possibly start the next book. Hello, so I'll just come on here with a bit of a reading update because I'm on page 93 of How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin, and I am very much enjoying it. It's giving me very much cozy mystery vibes, and it's set in a place called Castle Knoll in Dorset. Now, all of the descriptions is pretty much Corfe Castle, which is in Dorset, which I've been to many times as a child, as an adult. I was there not that long ago. Obviously, I live in Dorset, so very well known to me. And yeah, the descriptions, I was like, yeah, that's Corfe Castle, isn't it? Let's be honest. So it's quite cool that I can vividly picture everything in this book because I know the area. So yes, it's very interesting, because we have a dual timeline, and the past timeline is like diary entries of Frances's diary, and the now is basically just first person narrative following Annie, who is Frances's great niece. So basically we see from the very beginning that Frances and her two friends go to a fortune teller who basically tells her that she's going to be murdered, and she spends her whole life basically writing down information about every single person that she comes across to see, you know, could it be them that kills her and all that sort of thing is going on. Okay, so she's very psychologically, I don't think she's okay, and she decides that she's going to call Annie to her country estate, and she has this massive country estate with all this land, a massive mansion, and it's stunning. And she calls Frances to go along because with that, the solicitor, because they want to read out what the will it now says, because it's all been changed by Frances. So she's going to read, she wants to basically speak to everyone that's involved and basically, yeah, read out the will, even though she's not dead yet. But, and the idea is that she knows that she's going to be murdered, and she wants all of her family and friends that are in the will to basically work out who it is, and then whoever works out will inherit all of the millions of pounds. So it's like a locked room mystery, and also it's very much that Frances has foreseen this happening because, you know, she got told when she was a youngster, when she was like 17, that she was going to be murdered. So she's kind of like known all this time. And yeah, we're just kind of seeing Annie getting to know Castle Knoll and getting to know the residents. She's basically down there trying to figure things out about her aunt, or her great aunt, as it were. So I quite like both timelines as well. It's quite nice seeing Frances when she was younger, when she was hanging around with her friends. Excuse me. And it's quite nice seeing the now and the descriptions now as well, because I kind of like have guessed that this is possibly Corfe Castle. I've decided, you know, that I can just picture everything because all I'm picturing is Corfe Castle. So yeah, apparently this is very much a puzzling whodunit, but there's like quite a bit of humour in this. So I'm very intrigued, and I'm very intrigued to see where this is going to go. But I'm quite invested in it. I am enjoying it quite a lot. So I'm going to just read for another 20 to 25 minutes now. I'm not really sure if I'm going to get any reading done this evening. I might try, but I don't really know what the plans are for this evening yet. But yeah, I want to try and get as much of this read as possible today. But not a bad start on page 93, and I am enjoying it. So I thought I'd just give it a little quick update. Okay, so I've put out the Christmas decorations. I do have like the outside lights to do, but I need some gutter. There's a bauble on the floor already. I need some gutter clips, so I've got them on the way. But I think it's time to have one of these teas. So it's a sort of black and green teas. There's quite a few different ones as well. So yeah, as you can see there, you've got like, they're all black teas with different flavours. So I think I'm going to try one of these teas, which I'm really excited for, because now the Christmas decorations are up. I think it's time to crack open these teas. Okay, so I went for New Year's gift, which is a black tea that has like tastes of almonds and cherry, and I've got it in my Christmas at Hogwarts mug, which I got from the Harry Potter Studios. And I've lit 2 candles. That one like glows as well, like, so when you light it, it then turns on the LED. Oh, it's amazing. So yeah, the plan is to get cozy and carry on reading this. I've got a couple of hours before I have to do the dinner, so got a couple of hours of reading time. Jeff. Hello. My hair's very frizzy at the moment. I've just got out of the shower and tried to blow dry it, and it's all over the place. But I wanted to come on here, talk to you about this, because I have now finished it, and then also get all the books together that were in the shortlist that I have read, and then decide what I'm voting on. That's the plan. So first of all, let's speak about this. I loved it. Okay, this is very much like, almost like a locked room mystery. I mean, there's only a certain number of characters it could have been, but it could have been any one of them. It's kind of got a lot of Agatha Christie vibes. So the whole idea is that Frances, when she's younger, she goes with her 2 friends, Emily and Rose, to a fortune teller who basically tells her that she's going to be murdered one day. And so her whole life mission is to figure out who murdered her. So she kind of like puts details and information together of every single person that she meets, and she decides to make it her mission to try and solve it. But she then decides to get in her great niece. Her great niece Annie. And Annie is basically called to the country estate that Frances owns, and she has to figure out who the murderer is. And yeah, it's very good. So yeah, obviously Frances dies. Okay, that's not a spoiler, it's on the back as well. Yeah, so she obviously dies. So her great niece Annie goes to the estate, and it's down to her and someone else to figure out who the murderer is. And whoever figures that out inherits the whole estate, and it's like millions of pounds worth involved. So Annie is basically putting all the clues together. She's trying to read diary extracts from Frances. So we see the past and what happened in the past through Frances's point of view via her diary extracts. And both the now and the past I absolutely loved. I loved both storylines. There were, you know, sometimes when you've got like a dual timeline and a dual point of view, there's like one in particular that stands out more than the other. But with this, both of them are equally really good. And I really enjoyed the writing. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's almost cozy style, because obviously it's set on this country estate, and it describes the season. That there is a point where it's describing like autumn on this estate as well, which is lovely. So yeah, I just think very much more so the cozy mystery vibes, with a lot of Agatha Christie vibes thrown in as well. I just really enjoyed it. So I've given it 5 stars, because yeah, it's just something that's really well put together. I don't know, it's just, I really enjoyed it. And there was a lot of clues, there was a lot to keep you guessing until the end. And the end wasn't like rushed. You had like a good couple of chapters where everything was being solved. So it wasn't like a rushed ending as well, which was really good. So yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed this. Absolutely loved it. Would definitely recommend if you're looking for a nice cozy mystery. So I'm going to get together all of the books, and then we are going to discuss which books I am voting for. Okay, so I have all the books stacked up around me. Excuse the hair, it's getting frizzier and frizzier as time goes on. Right, so in the historical fiction shortlist, I have read one book from that list, and that is The Woman by Kristen Hannah, which I've obviously read during this video as well. So obviously you've heard all of my thoughts on this. I obviously loved it. I cried. I gave it 5 stars. It's the most amazing book when it comes to historical fiction. It deserves the vote, in my opinion. It really does. I think any Kristen Hannah book deserves to be voted and win the Goodreads Choice Awards every year, because I think she does come out every year with a book. But it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. This is definitely an author by author for me. So obviously this one, both books that I've read in this video, actually, the main characters is called Frances. So this one is known as Frankie, and obviously we see her go off to fight in the Vietnam War, and it's all about the women who were, you know, they had a role in the Vietnam War, but they never had their voices heard. They never were able to speak about it. They were never taken seriously. And this is just like a heartbreaking story. It's got like so much about love, but then like loss as well, and grief and mental health illness, and just everything in this book is done so well. And the writing is stunning. And yeah, what more can you say as a Kristen Hannah book? Like, this author is absolutely amazing at what they do. They're an author for a reason. So yeah, that's the book that I voted for. In mystery and thriller, there were 4 books that I read. So let's start with one. So 3 of them were 5 stars. One of them was 4 stars. So the 4-star one is the Lucy Foley, The Midnight Feast. Now, I love Lucy Foley books, and I will continue to buy Lucy Foley books. All of her other books have been 5 stars for me. This one just wasn't quite 5 stars for me. It was a 4-star. Purely because it was not very realistic, let's put it that way. I know obviously fiction isn't going to be fully realistic, but when it's like a murder mystery, I kind of feel like, you know, in the mystery genre, it needs to be a bit more realistic. So there was like a couple of issues that I had with this book, but I still really enjoyed it, and I would definitely 100% recommend a Lucy Foley book, without a doubt, and I will continue buying Lucy Foley's work. And then we had 3 books that were all 5 stars that I had to choose from to be the winner. So we had obviously the book that I've just read, How to Solve Your Own Murder. Very much Agatha Christie vibes, locked room mystery kind of. vibes. Yeah, absolutely loved it. And obviously the Richard Osman book, which is We Solve Murders, which I absolutely loved. And I love the setting for this as well because it's set in the New Forest, but it's between the New Forest and other locations. But, you know, the New Forest is mentioned a lot in this. And I absolutely loved this. Again, another little cozy mystery. And then we have All the Colours of the Dark by Chris Whitaker, which is a heartbreaking book, but absolutely amazing and stunning. It's just amazing, this book. Absolutely love it. So this is definitely the one that I am voting for because I kind of feel like Chris Whitaker is an underrated author. You kind of have people that just you don't see him around as much. You don't see it as much as YouTube. You don't see people actually reading. I don't know whether it's because his books are quite thick and people just find it a little bit intimidating. I don't know. I will always get a Chris Whitaker book, without a doubt. Without fail. Absolutely love it. So yeah, this was definitely my choice. It was really difficult though out of those three. I'm not going to lie. These three are all fantastic books. It was a very good category. Then in the romantasy, I read When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, and it deserves to be voted for. Obviously, if I had only read one book out of the list and I didn't think it was amazing, then I wouldn't vote for it. But this definitely is amazing. I gave it 5 stars. Very, very much enjoyed it. Obviously got dragon riders. I don't know, it's just an absolutely fantastic world. Like the world building in this is amazing. The characters are amazing. I really liked Rave, our main character in this. There is a lot of characters and there is a glossary in the back as well, by the way. Just make sure you read like the glossary for like the terms, some of the fantasy terms. And I just love this edition as well. It's absolutely stunning. Look at that cover. Just everything about this book. Absolutely loved it. So obviously I voted for that. And then in the fantasy section, let me just grab these books. 2 books made it to the shortlist. So one was a DNF. So obviously I went for the other one because I loved it as well. I gave it 5 stars. So the one that I DNF'd was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This isn't like a straight DNF. I think I will come back to it at one point. But obviously a lot of people love this book. I mean, it's made it to the shortlist of the Goodreads Awards. So I think I got to page 82 and I've still got my bookmark in there. So it is one that I will probably come back to when I'm feeling it. It's more of like the Spanish, how would you describe it? It's obviously set in Spain. It's meant to be a bit witchy, but it's just very much a slow burn. I think that's what I was struggling with, is how slow it is. Sometimes I love a slow burn if it's like world building, character building, all of that, and I'm really getting invested in it, then it's absolutely fine. But this one was too much of a slow burn. And then the book that I voted for was Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the follow-up to The House in the Cerulean Sea. Absolutely love this series. Absolutely love it. I am obviously going to continue with this series if they ever have another one come out. I think they should. I think they just should continue doing this series. TJ Klune needs to continue it. I absolutely love this book. It's just really cozy fantasy and just really beautifully done, and oh, I don't know, I just absolutely love it. So obviously voted for it. If you don't know what the series is about, I'll say a little bit about what the House of Cerulean Sea is. Basically you have like this orphanage with these children that have like magical powers, and there is one, you know, you've got Satan, they're all kind of like misfits. They've all come together and they're all being looked after by this guy called Arthur who runs the orphanage. Then we have Linus. How do you say his name? Linus. Yeah, Linus Baker. And he basically is working within the government, his job is basically to go around to all the orphanages and make sure that the children are being looked after and they're not getting up to any trouble and, you know, doing anything to the humans nearby. So it's a very, you're getting to know all the characters. There's a little bit of a romance that blossoms between Arthur and Linus, and it's absolutely stunning. And oh, you just have to love the characters. And this is a follow-on from that, and it's perfect. And then the last category is horror, and I have 2 books that I've read from that category. So the first one is Murder Road by Simone St. James, who is a go-to horror author for me. I absolutely love Simone St. James's work. Every book before has been 5 stars. This was a 4 stars, but I still really enjoyed it. It wasn't as paranormal enough for my liking. This one is following April and Eddie, and they're off. I think they're on their way to their honeymoon. They come across this woman who's by the side of the road. They let her get into the car because she's by herself and she's covered in blood. By the time they get to this small town, she has passed away, and they become the #1 suspects with the police in this town and all of that. So yeah, I don't know, I thought it was quite good. It's like obviously a terrifying adventure, and there's like a haunted stretch of the road, but I don't know, it didn't really feel fully supernatural to me. It was almost more like a murder mystery. Not murder mystery like cozy or anything, but I don't know. I did still really enjoy it though, so I would still recommend it. But the book that I definitely voted for, I think, is possibly going to win this category, let's be honest, is We Used to Live Here. And this is also what I voted for in the debut novel as well, because it's also the shortlist for that. But my gosh, this book, it's very rare for a book to absolutely terrify me. But this one did it. There was a certain scene in the basement which just terrified me. So if you don't know what this one's about, Evie and Charlie, they move into this house. Whilst Charlie is out one day, Evie's there by herself, and this family come knock on the door, and it's this bloke with his wife and 2 children, and he basically says, oh, I used to live here, I grew up here, it's my childhood home, do you mind if I show my family around? And she's a bit like, don't really want to let them in. And then there's like this icy blizzard thing comes in, so they're basically having to stay in this house. And the more she's trying to get rid of them, and the more she's feeling a bit uneasy about them, the more she's trying to question whether it's the house or whether it's them or whether it's her own mind. She doesn't work. She can't figure out whether it's her own mind going mental and playing tricks on her, or whether it's this family or whether it's the house. So there's a lot of supernatural stuff going on and a lot of creepy, weird stuff going on with this family, and it's just absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. If you haven't read it and you're into horror, you need to read this book. Like, it's very rare for me to come across a book that absolutely terrifies me, and this one, it gave me the fear, it gave me the creeps, and you're just like, as you're reading it and you turn the pages, you're just like, what the hell are you doing? Like like, why would you let this family into your house? And yeah, it's just absolutely superb. So it has to be voted for. It really does. Absolutely love it. So that's quite a large, I've got 2 that's facing the wrong way now. I don't think I'm going to be able to pick this up, but this is quite a large stack of books that I have read from the shortlist. I'm not going to be able to lift this. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, just about. No, it's quite heavy. So yeah, I've read quite a few books from the shortlist, and I can honestly say that it was an amazing bunch of books. Apart from one, all of them have been 4 or 5 stars, and I can see why they've been on the Goodreads Choice Awards shortlist. So I think they are announcing the winner. Is it like tomorrow? Let me have a look. I've just got my computer next to me. I I don't know. I think it ends tonight though, so if you haven't voted, then you need to go and vote. I'm posting this today, so there's still time to vote if you're seeing this as soon as I post it, basically. But yeah, absolutely loved this little reading. So I read a couple of books off the shortlist, just so that I could have some more to vote on and choose from. Loved doing this video and a little reading vlog for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with another one. Bye.